Right then, let's see if this is on. I'm just going to check the lens, make sure this is actually. Yes. Right. So this is the If project. Back again. It's been about 3 months I've been away. And yeah, and the seasons have changed. It's not as bad now, but it was absolutely lashing down this morning. This is rural Scotland, and a place not noted for its clemency of weather in the winter months. Here I'm back. If project. One of the shows that I love, like a lot of people, is Henry Cole and the motorbike show. And you know, he takes on these restorations, and it's lovely. But him and his buddies, they take all the bits off, and they farm them out. So all the bolts get either binned or replated, or and replaced. All the rusty bits get sandblasted or bead blasted or whatever, and soda blasted, and then sent out to a paint shop and re-primered and repainted. And all the chrome bits get all built up with bronze or whatever, brass, and replated and smoothed and all shiny, which is lovely. But honestly, part of the joy of, I think, fixing an old bike is actually part of the graft of cleaning up, shining up all the rusty bits. And it's hours. It's relentless. You've got permanently ingrained fingers and fingernails, and crap up your nose and all over your face, and hours, paint fumes in your, making you feel giddy, and it goes on and on. But it is part of the rite of passage, I think, for an old bike to be done. And also, the thing that occurs to me is that it's nice if you're in a position like Henry Cole. You can just drop however many £1,000 you need to on the restoration. It's easy. Just send everything out and just pay for it. Job done. But like most people, we're on a limited budget. I've got commitments, and I can't just be spending all our money, much as I'm tempted on motorbike bits. So you have to make a judgment call. And very often it's like you can drop. I mean, it's a bottomless pit. You can put so much money into a restoration. You buy new bits, and they're not cheap. Chromium plating is expensive. It can go on, and I think that often when you're getting a bike going, in my case, and this is, as I say, this is an oily rag restoration. This is all about making a rusty old dismantled bike into a nice running machine again, without it being necessarily, a show queen. Just a nice, tidy, solid, well put together bike, and that's my intention with this one. So I'm not going to be dropping thousands of pounds into it. I'm trying to do this on a budget. I paid £2,000 for the bike. I don't know what I've spent on parts so far. Probably not far shy of £1,000 on paint and parts, which I'm actually doing pretty well. I had a lot of parts of my own, but it's things like, actually maybe I haven't spent that much. I've ordered some parts off eBay. You know what? I'm probably not even up to £600 actually yet. I mean, I haven't kept a tally on it at all. I've just bought stuff, which is very silly of me. But there you go. But anyway, my intention is to have this bike on the road for about £3,500. A nicely put together, nice, safe, good, solid motorcycle that will run for years. I'm not going to do a Devi Mead or SRAM conversion because that's also big bucks. But I found these engines, as long as you do the job properly on the crank and oil's not changed too infrequently, they'll run for years. And I've got other bikes, so it's not like I'm using it as a daily ride from here down to London or anything like that. When I just came back from Canada. That's where I live half the year. I lived there in Canada for 26 years, and then the call of Britain beckoned, and I succumbed and got a place in Scotland, so that's where I spend more time now. But I bought some bits back, including rims, or a rim, which I packed in the suitcase. So I've come back with parts, and right now I'm rebuilding the forks. Now, this goes back to my original subject about buying parts, willy-nilly, and the forks. I was seriously contemplating these because they're not in good shape. I bought new brakes for it, new brake shoes. Obviously I put second-hand rims, but they're in perfect shape. I'll show you in a minute. a new stainless spokes, engine parts going to be new. So wherever I think that headstock bearings, actually no, I'm going to put the old headstock bearings because actually it's a new set of ball bearings, not the roller bearings, the tapered roller bearings that they use now, but they're new. So I'm going to use them. Why not? That's what they were fitted to the bike originally. The bike's around for years, and as I say, this isn't a. I'm not commuting 80 miles a day on this one. I've got other bikes. One of them was a Triumph Rocket 3, which it's fast. It can go a long way in a short time. If I need to do any serious travelling, that's the bike I'll do it on. This one for fun, I might take a trip down to the south of England in the summer. I'll go to the Banbury Run or something like that. But it's not the intention of this bike. I just want it to be good and solid and reliable, and riding around Butte where I live, and for it to be good. So anyway, these forks, I really probably shouldn't use these fork tubes again. I've bought new seals. I did buy new bushings, and unfortunately they don't fit. So I must have got the wrong part numbers, which is very annoying. But anyway, there we go. The old bushings actually aren't worn. There's no wear in them at all. So I'm going to reuse those. But the fork tubes, I'm going to show you. One of them actually isn't so bad. The other is pretty rough. I'm just going to balance this on my coffee. That's my. So I'm going to show you what I've got going on here. Right then, the lighting here is terrible. It's a really dark day. Now, as you can see, I don't know if you can see that. I've cleaned them up as best I can. It's not incredibly deep corrosion, but it's corrosion nonetheless. So they're going to leak. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They'll leak. It's a case of leak limitation, I think, with these. And I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them back in for now. I'm reluctant to do it, but to be honest with you, it's just past Christmas. I'm broke. I want to get this rolling frame back together again. They're straight. They're as straight as a die, these. So that's the main thing. That's the main thing I'm worried about. I've put new seals into the old fork seal holders. They're a little bit tatty. Again, you see, I could replace these, but at £25 each, it can mount up, and these are perfectly serviceable. They work. I actually pushed those new seals in this morning. I used the combination of vice and a drift. I normally use a piece of ABS pipe or something like that, but I didn't have any, so I actually used these, which also fit into the forks. They're actually the fork seal retainers, and a socket wrench behind it, and the vice, and pushed them in. So that got them in. And the trick with this is grease, of course. And the problem is, of course, you have to go with the threaded portion inside the fork seal holders, because that's what screws onto the old fork legs. And as you can see, I've painted them all up. I've cleaned everything up, and and I think that's half the battle. These are old. They're done, really. I shouldn't be using them, but I'm going to, because they're straight. They'll leak. The beauty of these is, even if the fork seals leak, is the oil actually collects inside and drops back down the side. So you don't end up with fork oil all over your front wheel and all over your brakes, not unless they're really bad. And if that's the case, I'll stop using it. But I did this once before on an A65, and I actually got away with it, and I couldn't see much sign of leakage at all. The other one was probably in about the same condition as this one here, so a little bit bad, but not too bad. This one is pretty bad. I'm going to put this on the non-brake anchor side, because my feeling is there's going to be less stress on it. So yeah, that's it's not ideal, and I think a lot of people would say, yeah, you should just replace them, dude, but I'm not going to. I'm going to put them in, because this is part of the fun, seeing what you can get away with. There's no safety issue here, not unless they leak oil everywhere. Because they'll work, they'll damp, they'll lose oil, of course. But they're straight. I ran them on a piece of glass, and they're as straight as a die. So that's my main concern. The bushings are all good, and as I say, everything's cleaned up here. This is I've just rebuilt the rear wheel. So that's it. That was a second-hand rim. No, I beg your pardon, that's the front wheel. It's a second-hand rim, and over here I have got. This is all I brought back from Canada with me. As you can see, it's not in bad shape at all. The outside part is pristine. It's almost like new. So I'm happy to use those. This is all part of the cost saving. Frame's all painted up. It's got dust all over it, so I need to blow all that off. But basically, she's on the go. That headlamp shell's not good, but I've got another one, so that's good. Oil tank needs to be done next. That's the old wheel. I think I better film this before, and as you can see, the front rim that I've just done was, if anything, worse than this. I swear you could have almost put your finger through parts of the rim. I've chucked it away, unfortunately, but it's bad. I've got these two, which I'm very pleased about. Don't quite know why they're not a match set, but I guess one of them has been got second hand from somewhere, so that's okay. And there's the old motor down there. I've got these parts. Oh, I've got another seat for it. So again, I looked on eBay for a new one, and they were quite expensive. My old seat base is pretty much done. This one was second hand. I think I paid 60 quid for that? You know, it's been redone, but it's been redone nicely, and it's in good solid shape. So it works for me. And yep, I don't think there's much more I can add to this, really. So it's just a case now of reassembling these forks, and I'm going to start rebuilding the frame. Because my intention now is to have this whole bike, the whole rolling frame, ready to roll next month or two. I want this bike running by the end of March, so that's the plan. I brought back a main bearing. I made this tool years ago. When you put the main bearing on these bikes, you sometimes have to remove it again because you've got to check the end flow to the crankshaft, the amount of backlash in the crank, because ideally you want less than 5 thou, and so you quite often have to set the bearing. If you don't know what it is, because this bike, it just came with a crank, there was no bearing, no shims, nothing, so I bought the shims with me from Canada, and I bought this. Now this tool, it's actually an old main bearing at the outer race, so it clamps onto the ball race of the bearing on the crankshaft, and then you can use a puller. Use a 3-prong puller or even a 2-prong puller, and you can just pull off the bearing again, which makes life a lot easier because they can be assigned to remove. So I brought that with me as well. I also bought a thrust washer because that was missing. I bought some vernier calipers, and I discovered that my new timing side main bearing bushing is actually 10 thou undersized, and the crank has been ground pretty accurately because there's no taper as far as I can tell on it. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get that. I'm also going to. I think I've spoken about this before. I'm going to put an oil pressure driller in this, which I've done before on these motors, because the older ones didn't have one. The later ones, as you can see here, they had. What the hell is it? There, down the bottom there. They had a casting modification, so you could actually put an oil pressure, either a gauge or a switch on there. The older ones don't have that, but I'm going to fit one in. I've done it before. As long as you're careful, you have to do it with the engine with the crankcases in the frame, because the angle is very critical. It's not neat. It's a bit of a one-shot deal. If you screw it up, you've got to weld the crank. You've got to weld the crankcases again. But so far, I've had no disasters. But I just think it's better to do that than not have any indication of oil pressure, because that worries me. Especially on this engine where oil pressure is, the engine is basically feeding oil under pressure through the timing side bushing and into the big ends. And if you don't have that pressure, I know you can say, well, if you can see the oil returning to the tank, then it's obviously circulating, but you've no idea of the pressure. It could be bypassing all sorts of stuff. I had an A65 years ago that was not horribly, and it had basically 0 psi when it was hot, but it was still returning oil to the tank. Fortunately, I didn't blow that one up, but it did require a rebuild. But anyway, I'm digressing here. I'm going to get on with these forks now. So that's basically the state of play. Dodgy old forks being reinstalled, straight as a die, but surface corrosion. Grease is the answer. Lots and lots of grease. I tried filling them once with some. I think I did that with this. Oh, I did. I filled it with JB Weld and then sanded them down, but I don't know. I don't think there's any point really. So this one I haven't bothered with. It's smooth. I mean, the main thing about fork seals is that they get torn, and I think that they can cope with if the depressions in the fork surface are not too harsh, they can kind of deal with them. I mean, unfortunately, they'll be living in this half of the the fork tube, so it's the less damaged part. Basically, you can actually see where it's been riding on that part there. Let's see. So at least I've got that to play with. So that's a little bit irrelevant, that bit down there. These forks were full of water when I took them apart. Yeah, there's a little bit of oil in there and loads of water, so I think that's the reason why they got so much corrosion damage, which is a shame because they're not otherwise in bad condition. And anyway, I'll just get some more at some point. Maybe next fall, next winter, I'll get some. But so that's it. Next thing is to start the reassembly. Thank you for watching. Thanks.